that we all already participated in, but that now begin to stretch across the globe in a real movement of solidarity, of protecting these peatlands that we have all come to love and that are we are wild about. I'm always surprised by our wildness. We're meeting at randomly, radically different time zones, and I thank you all for being here. So my task today is just to remind us how we got here. And if I can, how we got to this, to signing something that we call the Venice Agreement, and doing it with so much joy. I love looking at this photo and just remembering the energy that was present there. But I also want to acknowledge that today, many of the people who weren't there in Venice are also on this call. And you were also incredibly, not physically present, but energetically present with us, because all of the input we got from the on the ground workshops were meticulously read and integrated into this document that thanks to our fabulous designer, Rosario Ureta, and Fernanda Olivares, her assistant that day, and the editorial team sort of congealed into a poster, which many of you may have already gotten in the mail, and others will be getting very soon. I could tell the story of how we got there, starting from years ago, millennia ago, when peatlands formed, but I'm going to be brief and just talk about how we got to Venice. And we got to Venice thanks to the Venice Biennale and an art event. And I think that's really unique about our agreement. It emerged through poetic, artistic, and aesthetic means. And in this case, through a pavilion called Joljoltol, Turvatol Joljoltol, that took place in Venice, and thanks to the Chilean Cultural Ministry, the Ministry of External Affairs, to a group of artists who gave their all. They are pictured in this image, and I want to just mention them: Ariel Bustamante, Carla Maquiavelo, Alfredo Tierman, and Dominga Sotomayor were a core team of artists who created some of the aesthetics that you're seeing here. And that just started to grow out through a similar process to the one that grew out the Venice Agreement. These concentric circles of solidarity, of enthusiasm, of knowledge, that eventually led to this experiment that we call Sphagnum Lab, which meant that we held hands with the Greifswald Meyer Center and brought sphagnum moss to Venice. In this spectacular image, you see that happening. Now this has already inversed, and we've already put the mosses back on boats. And thanks to We Are Here Venice and to Jane Da Mossa, who's also on the call, the moss is now living in a new site. And so grows our community and this conservation device that I feel that we are all part in creating with our own hands, like you see in this picture. And I know that this is, one particular picture, 3 people, but all of you, every minute of the work that you do is based on these experiences of touching sphagnum moss, of being on peatlands, of loving and knowing what they do, and therefore going to extremes like the one you see in this picture, building out installations and creating experiments that will take our message to the world and really position peatlands as not only the places that we love, but as the ecosystems that we know, the valuable ecosystem that we know that they are. And so it is through all of those and so many more coincidences and coherences that was born the Venice Agreement. Thanks to the Greifswald Meyer Center, the Sukov Foundation, Ocean Space that hosted us in Venice, ensayos that I am part of and that grew the art shape of this, and then WCS Chile, the Patagonian Peatland Initiative. But that was just the beginning. That was just a number of people that made that possible. The pre-agreement brainstorm. If you remember, we met in May 24th. On May 24th, it says we are here, but we were there. And then the on-the-ground workshop kits were sent around that same time. And not long after, on June 1st, we arrived in Venice. This is a picture that probably not many of you have seen. Oop, my screen keeps, and it was the night before meeting many of you. And that's Barbara, Nicole Charo, but there were many other people who started to arrive late in the evening in Venice to look at the agenda, to organize minute by minute what we would do to be able to arrive at this incredible feat, which was the signing of a document that we call an agreement. And if you remember, we got here because of all of the technologies of agreements that we used. And these technologies were playful, they were collaborative, they were discursive, they were embodied. And most of all, I think they were full of local know-how. So in each of the groups that was conversing, you were all sharing the different experiences that you have doing on the ground work. And that's what makes the Venice Agreement so particular as well, poetic and grounded. So I'm not sure yet if our dear Houston Cypress was able to get on the call because there was some confusion with time. Houston, if you're here, maybe you can chime in, but I thought first we should read the Venice Agreement to really just have it sink in and then keep going. So
I don't think Houston is here, Cami.
Okay, so what I'll do is then maybe I'll read the first column, and then I would love it if others could chime in. I can call up names at random and invite you to read where I leave off, if that works. Let's try. It's another one of these games to just continue to reinforce that collective way of joining voices. So the Venice Agreement, 2022.
You should enlarge the image, Camila. So if you ask somebody to read, she can actually.
I can do it. I can do it, Cami.
Okay, thank you. So I'll start with So I'll stop my sharing then, Anto, if you're going to do it.
I'm already sharing, right? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, now it's better. Now it's larger. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So Cami, you can read the first column, and then I can stay here so everyone can read the other.
Okay. Heatlands are power. Yes, carbon engines, rivers of life, biodiversity. Ticking, alive, murmuring, sensitive, sensual. Peatlands are memory, flowing and folding into deep, dark matter. They hold our future. Consistent connection through webs of roots, mosses, minerals, glacial retreats, organic synthesis, human life, and multi-species kinship. Peatlands are ancestors, one and indivisible, thumping like a beating heart. beating with yours and mine, the spongy wetlands underfoot, drink from the heavens and breathe the beauty of color. Smell it? Yes. Respect the living dead peat. Include its language into your songs. We hold peatlands dear. Near and far we care because we walk the past that moves us to encourage healing. A gesture, a humble twirl of fate. Territorial rumors tell us that now we must sink into the cycles of regeneration, reparation, restoration. Peatlands are teachers, masters of rest, caretakers of water, libraries of climate evolution, of composition and decomposition. If they know, we may know. Intergenerational custody. The honor to serve invites you. Come, listen to the bog holler. Oh, a call from the origin future of life. Peatlands work with us, even if you are only a small portion of planetary landmass. We are in service of your contributions. Aini, mutuality, hol, tol. I'm going to just call out names and invite you to read part of what we need as a community. What do we need to bring some of these poetics to life, to continue to maintain this spirit of service and of awe? Suzanne.
We need immediate and effective protection of healthy peatlands.
Laura.
We need a new framework for local to global coordination.
Margarita.
We need multi-layer collaboration, recognition of cultural, spiritual, and ancestral value of peatlands.
Jurate.
We need revetting of degraded peatlands.
Diana.
We need political and public awareness and the will to steward peatlands.
Vantje.
We need local inventory of global peatlands.
Nicole.
We need meaningful resources to protect and restore peatlands.
Denise. Denise is muted.
We need polluted culture and other innovative livelihoods.
Caroline. Caroline is coming. Caroline is in the same house as I am, so I can hear her. I'll call on somebody else. Maria.
We need continuous reeducation of ourselves to increase our appreciation and love for peatlands.
And now let's call out what we value. We know what we need, and let's call out with strength what we value so that we can get what we need. I'm going to call out also on some of the on-the-ground workshops. Veronica, Vero Calder. What do we value?
We value well-being of people and petlands.
Rosario.
We value reverence for ancestral and spiritual realities.
Jane.
We value the collection and dissemination of knowledges.
Jorge.
We value thoughtful action.
Fernanda.
We value responsibility and accountability.
Jan.
We value laughter and joy.
Frankie.
We value multifaceted diversity.
Michelle.
We value intergenerational and transdisciplinary relationships.
Olivia.
We value the unknown.
We do value the unknown, even just being here. Oh, and I see Kate. Hello, Kate. Now we'll move into just calling out local and global values. Kate, do you want to read out all the locals?
Local values, ideas and inspiration, sensitivities, curiosity and creativity, complexities and uniqueness, consciousness, love.
Is there somebody I haven't called on yet? Barbara, do you want to call out the global?
Yeah, global values, sharing of knowledges, attentive listening and empathy, coordination, diversity and inclusivity, decolonization, y no concentración de la tierra.
We care for peatlands.
And there is one also called Camila Marambio, who always,
oh yeah,
she hasn't been called, but we don't know who she is.
I set my link around.
Cami's sister.
And now we can all, with our microphones. Oh, Carla, hi. I hadn't seen you. Maybe you can say what we agree on. Call it out.
Where? I don't see it.
We care for peatlands, and then you can say, I agree. At the bottom.
Oh, okay. We care for peatlands. I agree. We agree to protect global peatlands locally. And you?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cami. And Charo is here, so I leave the microphone to our dear Charo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was here from the beginning, but I couldn't put my camera on. I was really on transit, but it's like, I mean, I'm so happy to be in this space with all of you and to reconnect and to remember. The word remember, it's in Spanish is recordar, and it means to pass our memories close to our heart. The heart is cor, el cuore, el corazón. And this is basically what we are doing right now. It's actually the beautiful way that Camila took us through the journey of from what was before the Venice Agreement, and also to read together the agreement is really recordar. Is to pass the memory close to our hearts, but also to recordar, to see what is coming next. And I think the way Jan also framed this gathering helped us for that. So I'm delighted to be here with you guys, and also to actually be here, because I had the wrong time on my schedule. But what are we going to do? Is we are actually going to get together in pairs, and we're actually going to chat with each other about
what happened since the last time that we were together, but I believe that there are some people that were not in Venice, like for example, Anto. So it's really to all of us that are here is that what happened since then? What happened since June? During these months, what is that we were able to nurture the agreement? Because we know that it could stay as an idea, but what are the actions that actually can be put forward to nurture this idea? So the invitation is that we are going to go in pairs. You are actually going to chat. You're going to have around 8 minutes to have this dialogue. And then when we come back into plenary, we're going to invite all of you to write on the chat. What is that? For some of you, might be a reminder of some of the things that you said at the end of our meeting in Venice. Because just to remind you, we had like a last circle, and each one of you said, well, this is what I am hoping to do. And again, it can be something as I had a conversation with this person, or can be something bigger than that, or it can be none at all. So don't worry about that. If there was nothing at all, it's okay, because this is an opportunity to again reconnect with this. So as you know, we are going to get into breakout rooms, and it's going to be a surprise who will be with you. And Anto, you have now the breakout rooms. Excellent. So let's go and have a little conversation, and we will be back around in 8 minutes. We will let you know, okay? Enjoy. I'm reading on the chat. The agreement is so beautiful and strong. Yes, it is. Anto, are we going to?
I didn't know, so I don't think I assigned you to anything.
So, I mean, I'm so happy to be here that I could hear you. But Kathleen and Simon, they are raising their hands. We listen to you. And Jorge. Jorge is not assigned?
I think everyone is assigned, but
okay. He was, sí, estaba pegado.
There are some, and there are some rooms of 3 because we didn't have like a, no. Ya, nos quedamos nosotros.
Me parece increíble que esté aquí.
Oh, maravilloso. No, y Charo, ¿y cómo lo hiciste para que tu fondo sea como parecido al nuestro? Pero
sí,
no.
Eso pensé.
Sí,
eso pensé, se buscó un lugar, se demoró para encontrar un lugar parecido. Para
No, si yo tenía planificado llegar aquí tranquilamente a las 12:30, o sea, a la hora que he llegado, pero ustedes, ay, mis reinas, se pasa, pero bueno. Oye, pero hay buena cantidad de gente, ¿no?
Hay buena cantidad de gente, sí. Yo no vi 3 personas que no los llamé, por si acaso en algún momento, Charo, quieres llamarla, casi como pedirle a alguien at random. Fueron Nico, Ale y David. No, creo que fueron los únicos que no lograron hablar, entonces sería lindo escuchar sus voces.
Ya, porque acuérdate que ahorita, cuando regresen, les vamos a decir.
Nico, Ale y David.
No, oye, tú, Nico, el otro Nico.
Sí, el Nico, es que yo les cambié el nombre porque todos se llaman Camila.
Sí, yo les puse,
a Nico le cambié,
pero no me
a la Ale, que
pescaron.
también era Camila, le cambié el nombre.
Es que yo empecé a mandar el link para que todos llegaran.
Nico, Ale y David.
Sí.
Ya, súper.
Claro, cuando uno escribe en el chat ahora y dice a todos, ¿les llegan los grupos?
Si tú, no, hay que escribir la pregunta.
Es que sí, la escribí en el chat, pero no sé si es que les llega.
No, lo que puedes hacer es escribirla en el message para todos. ¿Cuántos grupos han salido? Un montón, han salido 10, ¿o no?
11.
12. Ah, sí, 11.
¿Qué es transmitir?
Ah, no.
Porque yo les voy a pedir que cuando regresen escriban en el chat. Porque
¿Cómo se manda ese mensaje?
Ahí lo mandé. Ahí le puse.
Buena. buena,
to
porque
everyone. What
yo
have
creo
you
que
done
está
since
bueno
January
ese.
was
sí,
expired?
sí, puede haber
Sí,
gente
se puede como
que se perdió.
transmitir en voz o mensaje. Les mandé un
Ay, qué
mensaje.
miedo.
Sí, que te hable como Dios.
¿Qué? ¿En voz también se puede? No sabía.
Sí.
A ese le gustó la Charo.
No
Sí,
sabía.
Mira,
Oh,
me
no.
gustó.
Oye,
Oye,
chicas, ¿cuánto tiempo ya pasó?
Quedan 4 minutos
Quedan
y
4
medio.
minutos.
Minutos. Ok, entonces en un ratito les mandamos, les quedan 2 minutos, porque lo que les vamos a pedir es que escriban en el chat lo que traigan, porque si lo escriben en su chat, nosotros no lo vamos a poder ver.
Sí.
¿Ya? Y tenemos esos 7 minutitos para share some examples, pero no puedo llamarlos ahí, a Nico, a Ale y a David, porque si no tienen nada.
Sí, mejor dejarlo abierto a quien
Sí,
quiera.
no, lo voy a dejar abierto. Después de que escriban en el chat, escriban alguito.
Nico, ¿tú pasas las respuestas al Miro?
Han hecho un montón de cosas, por lo menos Nico y Ale, que yo les conozco, pucha, que han trabajado con las turberas.
¿Ah, sí?
Nico
Ya.
desmanteló todo el pabellón.
Ah, claro, Nico.
Y se
Ese es el
llevó.
Nico chileno.
Sí, y Ale es mi hermana, que también ya como que nos
Ya
superó.
está montando un proyecto ahí. Va. Todo.
Entonces, de repente puedo decir, mira, no hemos escuchado
Sí.
estas voces. Si quieren,
Eso.
claro,
Sí.
si quieren contarnos
quieren.
algo.
Sí,
Claro.
son súper buenos ejemplos, ellos dos, de hecho, de los devotos que se han hecho a las turberas post Venice Agreement.
Claro. Oye, y una cosita, y después viene lo de los indicadores. Me repiten otra vez porque como estaba subiéndome al taxi, yo decía, ya, lo que ustedes quieran. ¿Qué hemos quedado?
Yo voy a compartir pantalla.
Ya.
Entonces ahí, antes de entrar como a hablar de los indicadores propiamente tal, tenemos esto como now we want to collectively define some indicators to measure the success. But before we want to discuss some important points. Y ahí están las dos preguntas del Mentimeter.
Correcto.
Entonces voy a compartir pantalla con esas dos preguntas y luego con el código QR y vamos a pegar en el chat el link al Mentimeter.
Ya, perfecto.
Espérate,
Te
una
contestan
pregunta.
eso, yo puedo compartir pantalla como a medida que van saliendo las respuestas.
Sí.
Comparto primero de una de las preguntas y después de la otra.
Anto, ¿tú explicas lo que es el Mentimeter? Porque para mucha gente eso es como, ¿what?
Eso,
¿Qué es un
pero
Mentimeter?
es bastante simple.
Intuitivo.
Tú vas a entrar al link y como que tienes que responder a las preguntas, nomás es como una encuesta.
Sí, pero yo les explico eso para que no, sí, o sea, les explico, mira, ahí está el link y si tienes alguna dificultad, solamente tienen que escribir, pero el link del Mentimeter está con el número de...
Quedan 2 minutos, Anto, para que le avises a la
Lo voy a
gente.
copiar y lo voy a poner en el chat.
Perfecto.
Y la diapo que va a mostrarle a Anto va a tener el QR por si alguien quiere hacerlo desde el celular.
Perfecto. Ya mira, y si por alguna razón no pueden entrar al Mentimeter, que me parecería raro, les decimos escríbelo en el chat nomás.
Yo lo recojo, sí.
Sí, y ahí lo recojo. Perfecto.
Esas respuestas quedan guardadas, ¿cierto? En Mentimeter, después uno puede bajar esas respuestas.
Sí. Después puedes hacer un download de eso. Y luego, ahí vamos a, bueno, pero entonces vamos a ponernos de acuerdo de lo que es indicators, y ahí entra la Nico, ¿verdad?
Claro, tú me das el pase a mí cuando termine esa actividad de que compartamos los resultados del Mentimeter, y ahí la Anto va a estar compartiendo pantalla y yo voy a presentar
¿qué son indicadores?
Cómo son buenos, ejemplos, las instrucciones de la siguiente actividad, que son estos 10 grupos para...
Sí. Esa es la parte en la que yo te dije, Anto, Nico, lo que quieras, pero porque me estabas subiendo el taxi.
¿Prefieres eso o prefieres hacerlo tú?
I am easy, whatever you prefer.
O sea, a mí me carga hablar, pero si crees que es más fácil que lo haga yo porque ya voy a estar hablando, puedo hacerlo.
No, en realidad, o sea, you tell me. Si yo estuviera en tu situación, yo preferiría enfocarme en what is an indicator y dejar las instrucciones separadas. Pero, o sea, si yo estuviera en tu situación, pero como te digo, la razón por la que dije...
que yo ya no me complico con nada, Charo.
Vuelven en 15
segundos y van a
ver 10 segundos.
Tú, Charo. Entonces yo termino con el indicador y te doy pase de vuelta.
Ok, perfecto. Ya están volviendo, ¿no?
Yo me voy a mutear.
Ok.
Welcome back. Súper.
Faltan 50 segundos.
Nico, Ale y David. David, ¿cuál es David?
No sé.
Yo tampoco sé.
Bárbara. Bienvenidos de regreso. Ahorita van a volver los demás. Ya están regresando. Los que ya están.
In
Sorry,
English.
yes, I forgot. English. Welcome back. And so the first thing is that, please, could you start writing in the chat? What is that you said? Not what you heard, but what is that you said about what are the things that you did during the last 6 months after we met in Venice?
Okay.
Did you close all the rooms, Anto? Yep. So everybody's coming back. Yeah, now we are back.
Exciting news from my group.
Hey.
Wow. In
Well,
beautiful
we will get to that, to the exciting news. So welcome back. And first of all, we want to invite you to write on the chat, what is that you share in the breakout room, apart from saying hello and reconnecting, is what is that you share? For example, Nico already translate the Venice Agreement into Spanish. So what are the things that happened in the last 6 months? People are writing now. What have been happening with these champions of peatlands around the world? Okay, wrote about the Venice Agreement and the role of artists in working with environmental concerns and innovating in this area. Denise. Venice Agreement in Lithuanian. Aha, brilliant. Frankie and Kate. Okay, so write all, we are going to give a couple of minutes for you to write in the chat, and then we're going to hear a couple of voices of something that you want to share, of what have been happening. Okay. And while you continue writing, in the previous round, we, oh, there is coming. Oh, I should write too. I have news too. No, but I will type later. But in the previous round, we didn't hear from Nico, Ale, and David. And I wonder, no pressure, you don't have to, but if you want, we would love to hear your voices. So Nico, will you like to share with us something that you have been doing the last months in relation to peatlands and the Venice Agreement?
Hello, hi everyone.
Hi Nico.
So I was in Venice just 3 days ago with Christy and Carla, and we had the luck to see the last days of the moss and the sphagnum there, and it was just beautiful. There were flowers, there were trees growing in it, and we dismantled it and put it in the tracks of what you saw on the videos, and it was just a wonderful way to close this experience in Venice, and this, you know, for me, I think 1.5 or 2 year project. So just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Nico. Thank you so much. You were your hands on that. What about Ale? Ale, how is it going for Alejandra? Anything you want to share?
Hi. Yes, it's been quite an immersive bog experience since I got back. I've been working a lot in Chiloé. I met up with Vero Calder also from Defendamos Chiloé. And I've been working with Bárbara and Nico on projects locally in La Región de los Lagos here in Chile. So we hope to get funding for more bog projects. So it's been great, really.
Thank you, Ale. And anybody else that wants to share? I mean, I see that Barbara gave a TED talk about peatlands. Oh my God, that's a big one. But anyone that wants to share, and let's hear a couple of voices. So who wants to tell us a little bit of what have you been doing in these months? And you just open your microphone.
Jane, you should tell.
Jane, where's Jane? Jane.
I'm here. Well, we were very it was very important for us, the Venice Agreement, because we realized that we're not alone in thinking the things that we think about wetlands. So in these past months, we've just been carrying on doing what we were kind of already scheduled to do, but I can speak for myself. I don't know if Margarita feels the same, but we just carried on doing it, feeling a little bit more courageous maybe, and a little less on the defensive and more, like wetland, not wet. I don't like to use the word fighting, but wetland, spokespeople. And I also gave a TED talk, but more generally about, not about saving the wetlands, but about how the wetlands will actually save Venice. So I had, people forget to think about the wetlands when they think about Venice. So I put it the other way around.
Thank you so much, Jane. I love the way you put how the wetlands will save Venice, because we always think the other way. So that is really inspiring. And there is lots of comments saying, send the link, not only for you, but also for Barbara. Anyone else would like to share? I mean, this is so exciting.
I forgot to say, Camila put it in the chat that I did a lot of rushing around, trying to find a good home for the moss from the Turbatol Hall, and I'm pleased that they're pleased with where it's going to be, and we're going to visit it like it was like a relative now in the living next door.
It's absolutely beautiful, Jane. Thank you so much. Diana, and then Swanti. Diana, we listen.
Thanks so much. I wanted to share that we work. I'm also going to share my screen. But this is what we created with some partners alongside the Turbatol Hall, which is actually that we featured the Venice Agreement and the Venice Biennale work in our Global Peatlands virtual pavilion. So you can actually enter it. It's a space where we can learn about the peatlands of Patagonia, about the people working there, about the unique species, places and spaces. And it's a resource that can actually be built out and expanded with more and more content. We also featured it, as Jan was mentioning, in the Global Peatlands Assessment. It's the first, most comprehensive state of the world peatlands. And we launched that at the Egypt Cup. And we also featured the work of the Venice Agreement and the people and outreach in a number of reports, newsletters, and on our website. So we have been spreading the news and supporting as well the creation of a stronger link across through the Patagonia Peatlands Initiative, but also through a number of other peatland countries. Thanks.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much, Diana, for sharing. Swanji, do you want to share something? Yes.
Yes, so first it's really great to hear how active everyone was. And like in our little session, Susan and I spoke a lot about the power of art actually in this whole communication of peatlands. And what happened in Berlin is that Zuzu brought me together with another peatland artist, and we matched perfectly. And now we're planning a peat art project together next year. And it's also about this whole network that we can use. So that makes me happy.
Absolutely. Thank you, Swanji. One more before we move to the next bit. So we see Frankie and Kate. Frankie and Kate. And then we have Maura, so don't worry. Frankie and Kate.
Okay, I'm gonna go good quick one for repeat. So yeah, we hosted the Peat Fest, which was a really amazing event, and the closing session was all about was inspired by the Venice Agreement. And we're working on, Svancha and I are working on a flow chart. So we're going to put together all of the ideas about rights of peatlands and kind of make this kind of map of all the different directions you can go in to try and communicate this complexity that we found. We also got 300 kids out to the peatland in Ireland, and we developed a kids program for them. We did this cyanotype workshop in Ireland at the Museum of Modern Art there, and everyone really enjoyed it and kind of thought about preservation but also loss at the same time. And we have 60 people joining in January, and we also have funding for the next 2 years to get 4 people part-time paid. So yay.
Fantastic news, Frankie and Kate. I think I saw Laura Rising and Rosario too, but we have more to do. But let's especially Laura. I don't think Laura was in Venice, right? Was she? Laura was in Venice? Sorry, Laura. Laura, we listen to you. And then we have to move to something else, but this is really good. Laura.
I'll be quick. I wanted to say that it was just sort of, I think from Venice Agreement, the biggest thing for me as an artist that's worked with peatlands for over about 12 years was just the community and the sense of belonging to something beyond that. Felt my work so embedded in the locality of where I live, but it felt like a sort of real coming together of a family and a community that felt really important. And I think that's stayed with me in every step of where I've gone since then. And I had my PhD viva, practice-based viva, a couple of weeks after Venice, and that obviously has an environmental context of peatlands, and it was really amazing to talk about how there was this. I think it was really important that was in there in some way, and how I talked about where it goes next. And then at the same, I've got an exhibition at the moment that has a film that I made a few years ago, and with that I'm doing a series of field trips and kind of conversation events that brings different people into it. And the Venice Agreement is very much a part of how I will talk about, you know, where thinking around a lot of this is, and how art can play a unique part in that too. So yeah, I think it's just that real sense of a network and a community, I think, is for me the biggest part of it, with a kind of unknown. I don't quite know where it goes, but it's definitely filtered in there in some way that I'm not quite sure where it would be if I hadn't have had that. So yeah, thank you, and it's lovely to see you all.
That's beautiful, Laura. Thank you. And the last voice in this round, because there's more to come, Rosario.
Hi, everyone. I was actually very happy to be in the room with Denise, because I'm in Uruguay in a residency, and for the residency I will be investigating ways of making art about peatlands and communicating some knowledge and awareness about peatlands. So I'm doing some sculptures where I hope I will be kind of co-creating with peatlands. So I'm investigating some data and information I can get from peatlands, so that this data can guide me into the shapes of these sculptures. And just also asking myself questions about how this encounter with peatlands through art can be multisensory and generate awareness and knowledge through this encounter that is in an art space. So yeah.
Thank you so much. This is incredible. In a very short period of time, you had actually put on, not only on the chat, but we have been listening really what collectively has been emerging. And this is actually important because maybe the little pieces sound like little pieces, but when you can hear them as a collective, is so strong. So if you haven't had the chance to write on the chat, send it, because it's important to what we're doing right now, stop on the journey and to look around and to see what happened in these months. So what I want to invite you before we move into the next bit, all of us, let's open the microphone and in any language to say congratulations to everyone, because this is a collective strength. So please open your microphones in any language, like bravo.
Felicitaciones. Así te pasa. Diana. Brilliant. Gracias.
Hermoso.
Laura, see you on April 28th. Thank you, Jane, for everything you've done.
Dankeschön. Herzlichen Glückwunsch.
See. So excellent. I mean, what a joy to hear all this, because I think that, and another thing to celebrate, the chat is still going. There is still quite a lot of sharing on that chat. And if you are not on the chat because you were not on the Venice Agreement, I think, and if you're in this meeting, you should be there, because there's a lot of very, very powerful information, and also the joy of what's happening in other parts of the world. So good. So what are we going to do now? We're actually going to do a reflection around what do we think about indicators? But before we go into indicators of success, we are actually going to, before talking about indicators, we are going to answer a couple of questions that will help us to see as a group, where are we in relation of the ambition that we have in relation to the Venice Agreement, and also a little bit of dreaming. What is that we are dreaming? So we have these two questions, and we're going to use Mentimeter. First, let me explain the questions, and then I'm going to invite you to go to Mentimeter. The first question is around ambition, in the sense of how big do we think or not that Venice Agreement could get. From 1 to 5, meaning 1, we sign in with Venice Agreement and we keep in touch. 2 is we gain more people to be part of the Venice Agreement. 3 is we guide some local actions. 4 is we influence national peatland policies, and 5 is inserted in the global agenda. It's not right or wrong, it's how do we feel in the sense of this 1 to 5, where do we see, where do we want to go? And the second question is more a question around a headline. You probably have done this exercise before, which is like, let's imagine that is June 2024. We put June 2024 because we had that meeting in Venice in June 2022. So it gave us a 2 years frame. And the question is, the Venice Agreement is in the headline of an important magazine newspaper, okay? And what does the headline say about the Venice Agreement? So this is a dreaming exercise, because this will give a sense of, we are reading this article in June 2024. What does that headline say? So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes for you to think about these questions. And we're using Mentimeter, so we can record all this. And this is the QR code, but also in the chat, you have the link. If for any reason you can't access to the Mentimeter where the questions are, You just can leave the answers on the chat. And there are some people that are arriving because probably they had the confusion around the time zone. So they're only arriving, but that is okay. So, Anto, could you share the Menti to see if people are inside the Menti? And I am actually going to. Okay, so far, how many people have answered? Anto.
I don't know how many.
Or
We are
15.
looking the. Okay,
15.
yeah,
Okay.
I cannot have the answer and the number at the same time.
All right.
So,
But 15 so far. So we're going to give you a couple of minutes to answer these. The Menti, it's menti.com, and yeah, there's some people arriving this moment, and we are welcoming now people that are arriving. The code for the Mentimeter is 161919535. And again, if for any reason you can't write on the Mentimeter, it's okay. You can write on the chat, and we will cut and paste.
Is this how ambitious we want to be by 2024?
Yes.
Yeah.
In this period. And also the question on the headline in this magazine is, what does it say about the Venice Agreement on this headline in the magazine? So I think, how many people have voted so far? Who can see that?
Nico, can you see
24. I can see 24 have voted.
It's a little number in the bottom.
Yeah.
On the bottom.
Yeah, the first
24.
one. I don't know the second question. Let me
Okay,
see
so 25, 26, 27 people. So people are voting now. We welcome people that just arrived. And we are actually doing this voting in Mentimeter about how ambitious do we want to be in relation of the Venice Agreement. And just to give you a brief summary, we just had the first part of the meeting about, so what happened since the Venice Agreement, and we had really good responses about all what we have been doing. So I think we can stop the voting now, because we have 27 people that have voted, 27 out of 30. I think we are good. And the level of ambition is quite high, is 4.1, and 4.1 meaning between the policies at national level and at a global level. Woohoo! It's a very ambitious group. Well done. So let's see the next slide, Anto. Please. And the next slide is, it's on quotes, and it gives us some information about some of what is on the headline, right? I'm going to read just a couple. Peatlands around the world are protected. Peat can no longer be mined, and all degraded peatlands are going to be restored. More and more peatlands are protected thanks to the Venice Agreement, very specific. Can you go down a little bit? Yes, the Venice Agreement is a collective force to protect peatlands around the world locally. Atención, peatlands, speak the word, listens, a change is coming, ya viene. More agency worldwide for local custodians of wetlands, the domino effect of the Venice Agreement in restoring precious ecosystems, and so on. I think this exercise is really good because it gives us some elements of what is that we are dreaming into the future. We are not going to go in detail about this, but of course it's recorded. There is some very specific, this is a good one because it's a very strong indicator. The power of peatlands. Venice Agreement reached 500,000 signatures. That is a good one that actually is a good bridge into the next one. And this one, local action has been taken, can you put it, that has been taken for peatlands in 100 countries. These two are good bridges for the next exercise that we're going to do, because the next exercise is about indicators. because this one is a dreaming, but how do we know that we actually are reaching what we are dreaming? So for that, and thank you for this exercise, and Anto, could you stop sharing? Because the next exercise, it's about indicators. But before going into the exercise about indicators, we're going actually to remind ourselves of what is an indicator. And of course, all what you wrote on the Mentimeter is going to be part of the memoir of this meeting. So, Nico, tell us, what is an indicator and why we are inviting people to explore this?
Great, thank you, Charo. So we have an amazing text of the Venice Agreement. I was really moved when Camila started reading the poem, and that listening to each one of you read and remember what we constructed together and what we decided we agreed upon. But it's a beautiful poster, and thank you, Rosie, for that. And we're really happy that it's already in 3 languages to make it closer to our work. But we don't want it to be just a beautiful paper on our walls or anywhere we want to hang them. So what the next step for us is, how are we going to address, or how are we going to see if we're there yet, if we're really accomplishing what we said we agreed upon. So, and we're going to be working, as Ted was saying, on indicators, but we want to refresh our memories on what an indicator is. So it's a measurable characteristic that can be used to show us changes or progresses towards achieving a specific outcome, which we have already agreed upon. So give me the next one, Anto. So what is a good indicator? So it has some things, and one of them can be measurable. So it's able to be recorded and analyzed. It has to be precise enough that it can be defined the same way by different people. So I understand the same that you are understanding by that indicator. And it has to be sensitive. By sensitive, we mean that it has to be able to address the changes in the conditions we want to evaluate. I'm going to give you some examples not related to the Venice Agreement. Eso. So indicators will depend, of course, on what the goal is. And
Nico,
for example,
just quick, can you share the screen, because I need to create the groups, and I need my screen. Yeah. Sorry.
¿Lo ven ahí?
Yes.
Can you see it? Yeah. So some examples. So as I was mentioning, it will depend on what the goal is. So in the first example, the goal is by 2030, increase in a 10% the population of Santiago that recycles glass. So in this case, an indicator could be the percentage of the population that recycles glass in Santiago. Another example, for the goal by 2025, the colony of Humboldt penguins in Cachagua Island is under protection and free from exotic species predation. And an indicator could be the number of new nests of penguins in the island, or the number of individuals reaching reproductive age. But now that we know and we remember how to construct a good indicator, I'll let Charo come back and tell us what we're going to do. Charo, you're there.
To give the instructions now, Nico. Is that okay?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So what we did, just to remind ourselves, is that first of all, we actually had the first bit about reminding ourselves what everybody have been doing during the last 6 months in relation of the Venice Agreement. Then we explore, okay, so what is that how ambitious do we want to be for the next 2 years? And you actually wrote a headline about giving like that sense of, this is what we are aiming to, 100 countries agreeing for the Venice Agreement, or how many people do we want that that know about this in the protection of the peatlands. So what we are going to do now, we are going to separate into 10 groups, more or less, one for each need of the Venice Agreement. And then the invitation is for you to discuss at least one and up to no more than 3 indicators for your need in relation of that point of the Venice Agreement. And as Nico was explaining, the indicators should answer the following question: how effectively are we addressing our needs? That will give us some kind of guidance of how we are moving forward. So the groups that we have, let's go to the examples just to give a sense of this. For example, we need immediate and effective protection of healthy peatlands. So what could be an indicator that responds to this? And hectares of peatland under legal protection. Another one is we need political and public awareness and the will to steward peatlands. An example, the number of new law projects regarding peatlands. These are only examples. And remember, these are only our first approach of what are the indicators that we are considering to have in a collective way. The groups that we have identified are the following: protection, coordination framework, collaboration, cultural values, rewetting, awareness, inventories, resources, innovative livelihoods, and re-education. Anto, you have assigned people randomly to these groups. So again, we are aware that this is the first attempt to do this, but we believe that we can actually have some kind of, at the end, some kind of ideas of what is that we are, what are the type of indicators that we actually can consider. And less is more, so if you only have one, that is fine. So go between at least 1, but no more than 3. So we are actually going to visit the different groups. And for this, we are going to have 20 minutes. What time is it? Yeah, we are going to have 20 minutes in this round to see how it goes. And then we're actually going to come back to plenary. Is that okay? And okay, so Anto, could you open the breakout rooms?
I have a question. I have a question, Charo.
Yes.
In each group, we will go through all of this?
No, only one. Thank you for the
okay.
question, Barbara. No, it's only, you are only going to go to one group. The name of the group is going to be on the top. And that's why you only have 20 minutes, because it's only one group and it's going to have to be only minimum one indicator, maximum 3 indicators for the topic that you will get. And it's a random allocation, more or less. Okay. Thank you for the question.
Are we ready? Yes.
I will say so. Yes. Let's transport them.
I put in the chat, I put the names of the groups and the instruction. Okay. So you can copy that if you want, so you can remember. And in the up part of your screen, you will see the name of your group, so you can remember the need you are addressing. Okay. So I'm gonna finish.
And also enjoy it. I mean, in the sense that sometimes indicators put us like, what is it? What is it? No, indicators is basically, as Anto was explaining, but this is basically is a way to know, is this working? Are we moving forward? So just to have that kind of map for how we're moving forward. So yeah, the rooms are open. Yes. So see you in 20 minutes. Anto, there are some groups that are bigger than others, huh? All right. Purposely.
Just randomly.
All right. Yeah, because there is a group that is groups of 2 and then, no.
The groups
because
of 2
we
and
have
3.
10 needs. So I have to adjust the people to the 10 needs.
Okay. I don't see the groups now. Because I'm not co-host. But I trust you.
Yes, you are.
Am I co-host? But why I don't see?
No, no eres.
No soy. Era en mi otra. Lo que
Que te
pasa es que
te saliste, sí. Y
Bueno.
I see you as co-host.
Ok, yo dije 20 minutos, más o menos para calcular el tiempo, ¿no? Porque antes era más, antes era 25, creo.
Ya. Pero estamos bien con el tiempo.
No, está bien.
¿Estamos bien? Ahí está Nico.
Nico, te mandamos un grupo.
¿Quieren que vayamos a visitar a los grupos para ver cómo están?
Si hay manera de, claro, de por último entrar y pegarles en el chat como el need completo, sería bueno.
Que vean en el chat que
ponerles en el chat de subgrupos la redacción del need completo, porque el nombre de los grupos está solamente con awareness, pero no sé.
Yo creo que sí. Yo creo que sí
bueno.
valdría la pena. Podemos pasearnos poniéndoles el need completo.
Sí, está...
Voy a pegarlo, voy a transmitirlo y ustedes chequean si es que realmente llegó ese mensaje. ¿No?
Ya, me meto cualquiera entonces.
Lo único que estoy viendo que de repente va a cambiar a nivel de tiempos. No, que estamos bien de tiempos.
Sí, estamos bien.
Ellos vuelven, ¿a qué hora vuelven ellos? En 15 minutos. ¿No? No, la plenaria va a tener que ser un poquito más corta, porque la habían puesto a las 5.
Los mensajes que puedo transmitir son muy cortitos. No puedo poner un mensaje
Entonces
largo.
vámonos a los.
Ahí en el chat pegué el nombre completo y no sé a dónde se fue la Nico. Se fue al 1.
Se cayó, ¿o no? O de repente se ha ido a una de las...
Voy a ir a la sala.
Yo me voy a ir a una propiedad. Aunque creo que me quedo acá nomás porque me
¿Te quedas?
No,
Ya,
digo, me acaban de dar un cuarto donde puedo entrar, pero yo creo que acá está funcionando bien, ¿no?
Sí, no se
ya
te ha
me quedo
cortado
acá.
nada.
Ya me quedo acá. Yo me voy al baño un ratito y vuelvo, ¿ya?
Ya.
Ya, volví.
Ya, volví porque fui a 3 grupos y estaban todos full conversando y más interrumpía que
Sí.
cualquier cosa.
Yo también fui a 3 y estaban entendiendo perfecto, sabían su grupo.
Sí, entonces interrumpía, ¿cachai? Como...
Sí.
Además que podías leer el chat.
Sí, eso caché, que entré
Entonces,
y se leía el chat y que estaba todo como bien.
Y estaban los grupos el nombre corto y el nombre largo, así que estaban todos ahí discutiendo.
Ya.
Vamos bien.
Chicas, ¿la gente sabe qué hacer?
Sí.
Sí.
Ah, ya, está todo bien.
O sea, nos metimos a 6 grupos, pero yo no seguí metiéndome porque le decía a la Anto que estaba como interrumpiendo, como que estaban discutiendo y ya sabían qué hacer, entonces, porque sí tienen acceso al chat.
Súper. Oye, una de las cosas que es súper interesante es que la cantidad de cosas que han hecho.
Sí.
Son miles de post-it en el quedaron ahí.
O sea, voy a comer, ¿ah? Disculpe. Es increíble. La pregunta es si es que la información que sale en el chat es suficiente como para registrar. Hay que pedirles más, ¿no?
Sí. Pero tiene que ser algo sencillo porque si no la gente no... Tiene que ser del nivel de escribirlo en el
perdón,
chat,
no
porque
estaba
si no la
poniendo...
gente no va a estar... No va a invertir el tiempo, digamos.
¿Y
Pero
qué
quizás
tal
podríamos
un
decir...
Google Survey? ¿Qué tal un Google Survey? O sea, decir, oye, todo esto que ha salido. Entonces decir, ¿a quién le mandaste? O sea, aquí sí, más, un poquito más concreto, porque aquí tenemos como que el big picture, ¿no? O sea, un overview.
Podríamos
Pero...
proponerlo y decir que vamos a ir juntando esas cosas.
¿Perdón?
Podríamos proponerlo, como que se vaya, que uno pueda ir depositando lo que va haciendo en alguna parte. Pero porque vas a ir a raíz después de los indicadores, entonces va a estar bueno eso.
Ah, qué bueno.
Podemos hacer una plataforma con esos indicadores que se definan y uno va poniendo su post-it al lado de cosas que alimentan esos indicadores.
Eso es una muy buena
Por
idea.
ejemplo, no sé, pues si para el primero dice más áreas protegidas con turbera, y no sé, pues ahí compartió el Carlos Mendoza que se había declarado un nuevo santuario de la naturaleza de turbera, que lo pueda poner el post-it. Como va a haber que buscar fuera de esto un sistema para poder hacerle seguimiento. Porque o si no, si uno hace el seguimiento 2 años después, te vas a haber olvidado de la mitad de las cosas que uno hizo.
Ah, de eso estaban hablando, perdón, me distraje, que escuché un llanto de fondo, como que... Ah.
El
No
llanto
se
era de
escucha
mi,
nada, qué brillo.
el llanto era de mi lado, ¿ah?
Era tuyo, era de la Chel.
Era, ha cruzado océanos.
Pero,
La madre.
sí, pero me parece quizá un Google Form o algo así que pudiéramos tener como cada vez que hagas algo, inscríbelo acá y que sea muy cortito como
súper
la fecha.
cortito, como un post-it, sí. Fecha,
Sí.
¿dónde?
Como organización, fecha, ¿dónde? ¿Qué fue?
¿Qué?
Listo.
Sí.
Sí,
Yo diría
como
un
un taller,
Google
un
Survey.
encuentro.
Yo diría un Google Survey más que un Miro, qué sé yo, si no simplemente...
Sí.
No, pues
Un
uno después organiza la información como sea más fácil, pero además que te
Y
queda
que
todo.
ese Google Survey se puede poner como en cada correo que nos intercambiemos como firma, como abajo, como
Lo
recuerda.
podemos poner
que
en
cada
el
vez
chat arriba cuando uno le pone información, como
en la
en el
descripción.
grupo. Sí.
Oye, a propósito, en el chat tú eres administradora, Nico, del chat del WhatsApp, que uno puede poner en cuando te vas como a la información, se puede poner así como unirse por link.
Ah,
Entonces,
ya.
para que puedas poner esto en el chat acá.
Ya, bacán, porque ya me escribió alguien.
Es
Para
que
que no
ahí
tengas que
también...
estar, o sea, como metiéndolo todo el
Pero
rato.
la
Porque
pregunta es, ¿cómo va a ser ese chat? Porque antes ese chat era para los que fueron a Venecia, pero ese chat ahorita ya como que se
Habíamos
es
quedado
del Venice Agreement, como
solamente
para
los
los
que
signers.
participaron, claro. Como en el fondo unir a la gente de esta llamada, que esta llamada fue como a los de los nodos y los que estuvieron en Venecia.
Pero lo de los nodos deberían estar entonces.
Por eso, se
Sí.
están
Ah,
sumando,
sí está.
porque están en esta reunión. Ya hay 2 que me han escrito.
Que quieren estar en ese chat.
Sí.
Oye, pero maravilloso. Lo que comenzaron a contar. Maravilloso.
Sí.
Es para llorar.
No, si yo no les he contado, el Amazon Sustainable Landscape va a hacer un webinar sobre peatlands en la Amazonía.
¿Quién?
Bien.
En el Amazon Sustainable Landscape, que es un proyecto regional, va a ser un webinar sobre peatlands en la Amazonía. O sea, porque quieren saber más. Está muy bien, ¿no?
Qué bueno.
¿Cuánto tiempo? Uy.
Nos quedan 9 minutos.
9 minutos. ¿Tanto? ¿Estás segura?
Le puse 20. Eran 20, ¿no?
Ahí arriba, un timer.
Está bien. No, eran 20, pero digo, falta tanto, pensé que ya estaban a punto de volver.
Ya, a ver, espérenme.
Sí, nos queda
Ok,
poquito
espérate, ¿qué
rato.
falta?
Falta la plenaria, que compartan como los indicadores como un indicador.
Pero les voy a decir que lo
¿verdad?
escriban,
Por
¿ah?
grupo. ¿Cómo?
Que lo escriban en el chat.
Que lo escriban en el chat, claro, el que salió como por cada grupo.
Entonces que
No
escriban
sé,
su
hablar ahí un
grupo.
poquito.
Que escriban su grupo y el indicador.
Eso.
Y
si quieren comentar quizás algo, como...
Ya, ¿cómo lo hago?
Lo que estoy pensando es...
Enlace de invitación al grupo. Eso.
Lo que estoy pensando era de que... O sea, le estamos diciendo que escriban todo lo que quieran en el chat de los grupos, pero después que comenten solo un indicador por grupo.
Sí.
Anto, te lo voy a mandar a ti al chat para poder copiarlo de ahí y pegarlo en el chat. ¿Ya? ¿Entendiste algo?
No.
Frankie, se pronuncia Swanji, ¿no?
Swanje. Swanje.
Swanje.
Swanje.
¿Svanje o Swanje?
Svanje.
Svanje. Svanje. Ok, ¿dónde está lo que iban a poner de ellas?
Están en la agenda en el Miro. Dice,
Pero
now
sí-
Frankie and Svanji from Repeat, a youth-led collective will share
Ya sé por
knowledge.
qué no lo puedo ver, porque estoy mirando una foto del Miro. Espérate, tengo que...
Y desactualizada.
De que es una foto. Por eso, yo decía, pero ¿por qué no lo han puesto?
Lo pude usar perfecto. Me uní ya al grupo.
Funciona. El único
Al
problema
link de
es que-
WhatsApp.
Ay, cópialo en el chat porque no cerré el WhatsApp para que no sonara.
Ya, pero todavía no lo voy a, no lo
Cuando-
voy a
entonces,
pegar. Te lo voy a mandar a ti nomás, por ahora. No a todos, para que no se les borre lo de arriba, no distraerlo.
la Bárbara que me da risa. Se me olvida que no cacha nada de qué se trata la reunión y ella dice que sí, ¿no?
Oye, 3 se equivocaron de time zone, ¿no? La Pantia.
No llegó Houston, pues ni siquiera fuera del time zone.
No llegó. Houston, aló Houston.
Hello,
Houston. It's got a problem.
Ay,
¿Viste que alguien
Houston.
se llamaba Houston? Entonces yo pensaba que se reían de mí porque Lucho, mi marido, estuvo en Houston hace poquito. Y fue a la NASA. Yo no sabía que la NASA estaba en Houston. Entonces cuando yo pensaba que la cuestión es el
Houston, we have
era
a
un
problem.
sí,
Claro.
yo pensaba que era una persona que se llamaba Houston. Entonces la Anto se mataba la risa. Y yo decía, no, era la ciudad, era la base, ¿cachai? En Houston. Y yo decía, obvio. Pero
Ay,
mi
qué
primera
lindo.
preocupación es saber que alguien como Houston, Cyprus,
¡Qué ternura! Decía
estaban llamando a
Houston.
Houston, Cyprus. Para
Ah, o
decir
sea, no sabías que Houston, we have a problem, era que estaban
era
llamando
la
a la
ciudad.
base.
Sí, no,
A la
no.
base, claro. No,
Claro,
estaban
no.
llamando a Houston, así como,
No, yo
Pedro,
sabía que era la
tenemos un
base.
problema.
Pedro, te necesito.
Yo sabía que era la base, pero pensé que en la base a alguien así como, alto, tenemos un problema, ¿no?
Tanto, ayúdame.
Claro.
Tú sabes.
Así nomás. Así nomás.
Bueno, ahora les puedo contar una cosa que me pasó, que estaba hoy día tan así de que, oh my God, tengo que llegar, y que me olvidé mi maleta en mi casa. Y me di cuenta, I know, y me di cuenta cuando literalmente estaba a punto, o sea, porque ya estaba toda chequeada, solamente tenía un carry-on, porque vengo acá solamente por 3 días, y llego, y es que está en mi cabeza de que tengo que llegar para esta
Dios.
Dije,
¿Tenemos tu toalla todavía?
¿qué?
¿Tenemos guardada tu toalla todavía?
¿Qué toalla?
La que se te quedó en Venecia.
Pero no, ni
Pero
qué
espera,
toalla.
y llegaste al aeropuerto y no tenías tu maleta.
no tenía mi maleta. La llamo a mi hija porque sabía que mi hija se iba a ir a otro lado más o menos cercano y le digo, ¿dónde está? Me dice, ¿por qué? Olvidé mi maleta. Ja, ja. Se ríe, me dice, bueno, me dice, anda, cómprate. O sea, me dice, tú siempre me dices que lo único que me tengo que acordar es mi documento, una tarjeta de
Y los
crédito, mi
calzones.
teléfono. Pero ni siquiera calzones. O sea, no tengo calzones.
No, es como tienes que tener un poco de plata para poder comprarte un calzón y los documentos para poder viajar. Como que con
Exacto, eso, y con eso, oye, pero eso de viajar ligero, y entonces lo gracioso es de que veo tengo un vancito chiquito, ¿no? Comienzo a ver qué tengo aquí, conseguí una chompita más y una chalinita, qué sé yo, así, o sea, eso de viajar ligero hoy día se volvió realidad.
Llevado al extremo.
Felizmente tenía la laptop y mi cable en mi cartera chica.
Ay, Dios.
Pero bueno, la voy a pasar divertido, ahora me voy a tener que comprar ropa
Pero qué
interior.
bueno que la olvidaste en la casa y no en el taxi o en otra.
No, en la casa, y me subí así como que yo, me voy así a la vuelta. Y mi hija más linda me dice, bueno, me dice, pero por lo menos tienes ropa para hoy día, porque ya estás vestida. Y yo, sí,
Es verdad, te quedan 2 días nomás.
Sí, al menos no llegaste en pijama.
Y la vuelta no vale porque ya vas de vuelta a tu casa.
Exacto.
Ropa para mañana nomás.
Exacto. Ante esa actitud ya me reí nomás, dije, ya está bien, ya está muy bien.
No, yo estoy en un modo que ya nada me perturba. Ayer cuando hablábamos era como, le mandaba el pantallazo de tu mensaje a la Anto, me decía, ¿quién es la Cami? Y yo, no la Cami, la Charo.
Y yo por eso te puse el de Matrix, que es como,
Bring it
just
on,
bring it in.
Bring it on. Yeah,
Sí, ya estamos.
Ya estamos. Pero yo estoy impresionada, chicas, por la cantidad de cosas que la gente ha hecho. O sea, es un golazo. ¿Ah? Bueno, los traemos. Yo creo que ya.
¿Cuánto faltan 2 minutos? ¿Empiezo a cerrar la sala, no?
No, avísales que tienen 2 minutos, porfa. Espérate un ratito, ahorita vengo, ¿ya?
Y yo tengo reunión ahora a las 11.
Oye, Bárbara ha hecho un TED Talk de turberas.
No, y magistral.
Y Jane también.
Pero de wetlands.
Bueno. Ah, bueno.
O sea, un poco distinto, un poco.
Un poco. Oye, pero y cuéntame, ¿y la Bárbara cuándo lo van a mostrar? O sea, ¿cuándo
Ay, se demoran como al menos 2 meses, dijeron, en revisarlo. Tienen que aprobarlo. O sea, era 1 mes en edición. Yo creo que ya pasó 1 mes. ¿Cuándo fue eso? Sí,
es un TEDx.
Pasó más de 1 mes, yo creo.
¿TEDx de dónde? ¿Santiago? ¿TEDx Chile?
Frutillar,
TEDx...
acá en el sur. En el sur, Frutillar.
Ah, de Frutillar. Yo conozco Frutillar.
Entonces era 1 mes que se demoraba la edición acá en Chile y de ahí se mandaba a TED y TED al menos se demoraba 1 mes en decidir si es que lo aprobaban o no.
Creo que ya están volviendo. Frankie, Kate. ¿Ya cerraron? 57 seconds.
50 seconds.
Okay.
Yes.
Frankie and Kate, if you want, you can start writing on the chat the name of your group and the indicators that you got.
So I think Frankie already did.
I think that's the
Oh, yes.
The previous
people, and she
Yeah.
just put the name, recognition of cultural, spiritual, and ancestral value of peatlands. Brilliant. Welcome back. People are starting to come back. And we are asking the groups to write. Yes, people are coming back. But not everyone, we only have 9 people.
It's a bit slow to move from one place to the other because it took me some time to leave the
Oh,
room.
yes.
They're
They
coming.
got lost in the internet.
Yeah.
In between.
In between. Yeah.
Welcome back. So what we want to invite you is to write on the chat the name of the group, the number and name of the group, and then what are the indicators that you got? For example, we already have group number 4, recognition of cultural, spiritual, and ancestral value of peatlands. And the indicators that they're putting forward is people hosted over 100 cultural initiatives that seek to recognize the locally specific cultural, spiritual, and ancestral values of peatland. So please, if you can write that, remember to write the name of your group. So then we can actually, then we know to what corresponds. Denise, thank you. And is the group for protection. Margarita, the group 8 for resources. We can follow that. Margarita, and then we have rewetting, the size of rewet areas in hectares. Okay. What we are going to do now is that we are going to harvest these on the chat, and then of course we're actually going to open in plenary to hear from different groups at least one indicator. What is that you are that you're inviting actually the rest to explore, because we need to read these and have an idea. Group 9, Jane put already wrote, Camila wrote for group 3, Diane for group 10. I think we have almost all group. We have group 4. Do we have group 6, awareness? I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that already.
Barbara is currently
working on the writing.
They're writing. Oh yeah, we have now, Jan just wrote about coordination, right? Jane is completing awareness. We have the multi-layer collaboration, the group 3. I think we have all the groups. Cultural values, collaboration, coordination framework, protection. I think we are good. And inventory, Fernanda, thank you. Yeah, we have inventory. Okay, so again, this is our first iteration on indicators. Indicators are not, take a little while to explore, but we have to start somewhere. So this is a good start, especially after celebrating all the things that happened during the 6 months and having a little bit of a sense of what is the ambition for the next 2 years and what is that we are, the vision that is starting to emerge for the next, for June 2024. So let's go around. It will have to be brief, but we want to hear from each group. Probably take a minute for each group to give us one indicator, not everything, but one sense of what is that you explore. So let's start with protection. Who can speak from the group of protection?
I can speak about it if you want. Yes, okay. So we didn't really know where to start because we're both a little bit ignorant about what's realistic in this context, Rosario and I, and so we decided to build on Diana's report to think about what might be realistic, and we decided that we would want by 2030 to have 80% of peatlands protected, but that protection wasn't enough, that it needed to happen, that the areas that are protected needed to be vitally linked to community necessities. So we came up with 2 dimensions for that. One is cultural life. So through education and engagement with peatlands as part of the social life of the local community. And then the other dimension we came up with is that protected areas would be in interaction with local communities through exchange of resources, including polluted culture and recognition of the peatland role in sustaining not just human life, but more than human life as well. So creating a link between human and more than human life as the foundation for protection.
Thank you so much, Denise and Rosario, for that start of looking at protection and also linking with other groups already. So let's hear from Coordination Framework. Who was there?
Yeah, I was there together with Alejandra. Maybe I can start. So we were also discussing quite a lot what has happened in the last months, and that there actually was a lot of coordination already happening, also in the frame of the GPI of the whole process. But of course, it also needs to be improved, and we actually came up with 3 indicators at the end. So one of the indicators is that we should have established a Venice Agreement Secretariat, which should be linked to the GPI with at least a half-time position who can kind of act as a focal point for all questions, activities, whatever, and disseminate between the Venice Agreement members. Then we should have at least an annual general meeting of all people. But not as an in-person meeting, because we think that from a carbon footprint perspective, it's not wise to fly in people from all over the globe to one spot, but more like satellite regional meetings in person, which then are linked together to a kind of virtual global meeting once a year. And the third one is that to set up basic guidelines with resources on peatlands for local people, and a Q&A platform where local people can get answers to their questions on peatlands from experts, because we really want to serve actually the needs of local people, and for that we need to find very easy tools and options.
Super, Jan. And I love the way you are already recognizing what is already happening. Collaboration, the group of collaboration.
Yeah, I'll be speaking for it, and I'll try to be as brief as possible. So we were talking with Camila about how can all collaborators feel part of the continuity of the Venice Agreement of the project, and how to try to avoid a top-down type of communicative strategy. So we thought of 2 things. First, that policy should reflect a language that brings together the poetic, indigenous knowledge, and of course, science and scientific knowledge as well. And yeah, that it should reflect all of this at the same time. And we were thinking about how all or most of collaborators continue to communicate with each other. So the indicator had to do with the Venice Agreement being hosted every 2 years by a different participant. So to rotate also who is hosting the Venice Agreement. I think that's...
Thank you. Thank you, Carla. And I want to remind all of you that because of time, the invitation is to share only 1 indicator, not all of it. So then we can actually hear from all the groups. So let's go to the next one, cultural values. Frankie.
Did you want to present, Jose? Or...
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Our one was... oh, I've lost it. Okay. People hosted over 100 cultural initiatives. These could be in art galleries, community centres, public spaces that seek to recognise the locally specific cultural, spiritual and ancestral values of peatlands.
Thank you. Thank you, Frankie, and the group that was there. What about rewetting?
Yeah, so I can do it for the group. I hope it's okay.
So our indicator is quite easy because you can measure the size of the rewetted area. And of course, you have to know what rewetting means, so that this is like the restoration of the natural water level. So it's around the surface that really the peat is conserved. So and this must be approved, and then you could have like maybe a clock for rewetted peatland areas of the world, so that we can also measure it and be aware of it.
Thank you, Susan, and the group. Awareness. Who was in that group of political and public awareness?
You go, Swanti.
All right. So together with Barbara and Pantea, we discussed that we definitely need the conversations at different levels, like from global, national, regional to local. And we somehow need a tool to observe if peatlands are involved in these conversations. We were talking about counting it, but we actually don't have such specific call tools as the other ones, like a clock or a secretary. I'm quite amazed by how creative everyone got.
Thank you so much to that group. I agree. What about inventories or inventories? Is inventories or inventory? I don't know. Who is in that group? Don't see anyone.
Yeah, that was me
Laura.
and Fernanda. But do you want? I haven't got the. Hang on. We talked about the sort of need for an inventory of all the peatlands and taking in consideration in the sort of nuances of peatlands globally and the local communities and knowledges of all times for a more complex and multi-layered caring protection of peatlands, and building into existing inventories, but adding the need for more complex layering of understanding an inventory of peatlands globally. So we also didn't have a clock or a secretary, but a different sort of mapping that was maybe more complex, and trying to bring lots of different complexities into that, but building on probably already a lot of mapping that already happens, and in listing and inventories, but just instilling another layer, I think.
Thank you so much, Laura and Fernanda. Resources? Who was working on the resources group?
So was me, Jurat, and Veronica. And just to mention one, I can mention the first thing that got in our mind is the number of new local activists, even though the financial resources could have been more easy to say, but we prefer to talk about like human resources. And
thank you so much, Margarita. And innovative livelihoods?
That was me, Jane, and Olivia in Chile. And there are obviously the direct indicators like total area given over to paludiculture, or if not the exact total number of new jobs, at least trying to estimate the amount of time that people spend on paludiculture related activities. But before that, Olivia pointed out very much that one needs to raise awareness about the potential of paludiculture. So for the next few years, the Venice Agreement should be working on the number of workshops, new publications, media, etc., to first raise awareness about the potential of paludiculture before starting to measure the total area of paludiculture.
Thank you, Jane, and the group. And what about re-education? I don't see that the group that did re-education wrote on the chat, unless I'm wrong, but did they write? They did? Oh, good. So
Who is in re-education?
Maria and I were.
All right.
No. Maybe Maria, do you want to share? Or? Okay. So it's interesting because we also look this continuous re-education of ourselves and just sort of hung a little bit on ourselves there. And I suppose that meant we interpreted it as ourselves as people that sign the Venice Agreement. So we wanted to understand, you know, the number of exchanges of information, knowledge and experience of peatlands that are actively shared and understood. And what we felt was very challenging to measure or to indicate is like, how do you measure an increase of love? But we would say that like increase in love and application, I guess that's, you know, if you love it and value it, you're going to share it further. So we didn't come up with the second indicator. We just thought that first indicator could be a good way to start. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Diane. I think that question is, how do we measure love? I think if there is one indicator, it's actually people that came to this meeting and what you shared of what you were doing in the last 6 months. In my world, that's a good indicator of the pit lovers. Anyway, but this is a really good question for humanity, I guess. Listen, thank you so much. How incredibly well you work in this very short period of time. One is imagining the ambitions. 2 is imagining what is that headline in 2024. And 3, having this exercise around, so what are the indicators? Of course, we're actually going to put this together. This is the first iteration. And then we can, with fresh eyes, we can actually read again. If the Venice Agreement is a piece of art and piece of action, with clear direction of actions, then these indicators can actually support that. So let's look at that. But we are going to start wrapping up. And for the wrap up, we have 2 pieces. First, we're going to listen to Frankie and Svanja. They are from Repeat, as you know, and also Pantia. And they're actually going to share with us an invitation to take action in a very creative way. So we listen to you first, Frankie and Svanja.
Am I able to share my screen? Yes. Okay, you can see my screen.
Great.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Then I'll start. Sorry, we'll be quick in explaining. It's really just a small idea, actually. So half a year ago, something magical happened. Indigenous knowledge, art, science, policy, and law created in Venice a new perspective on peatlands. Here you see it again. Oh, now Frankie, close it again, and then just click the arrows. I think no, down there. Wait, on the cross, next to the. Can you see it?
Can you see my screen?
Yes. No. But just maybe press on the
X.
Exit.
Press the arrow.
What should I do? Give me directions.
Maybe start again on the presenting top there. Exactly, and then just click on the further. Yeah, and now the second. Okay, great. No, but so Venice Agreement, what we were all talking about, and then next slide. The exciting thing is that it's been sent to you the next weeks. There was some amazing organization happening in the background. So we will all be receiving the Venice Agreement poster. And
oh, just zoomed out. Okay.
Yeah, and we were thinking, inspired from one of the last talks in Venice, about where we could hang up the poster. We could start this little competition of who can find the most creative place to hang up the poster. This is where Frankie will continue.
So here's the deal. Here's some inspiration. You could hang up in football stadium, on the Eiffel Tower, in your grandma's toilet, in the European Parliament. You've got until January 20th. Oh, I've done it again. Oh no. Where's the little arrow gone?
Go again up there to present. Exactly. And then just on the little arrows.
Yeah. Here we go. Some nice inspirational photos. Yeah. So you've got until the 20th of January to take your photo. And then between 21st and 29th, we're going to vote on our favorite. And then they're all going to be published on World Wetlands Day in February. And the person that gets the most creative and most daring Venice Agreement poster photo wins a prize. It might be wellies, it might be something more, who knows. The prize is a little bit watch this space. So yeah, basically it's quite simple. Hang up your poster, take a nice photo, upload it on this Miro board. We're going to send you a link.
And what is also important, write your shoe size underneath the photo, right? So if we want to send the wellies.
Yeah.
So, that is wonderful.
What we also like is if you can write a very short text to go with it, like maybe there's like a reason why you think it's really important to have the poster here, or maybe like this place is really meaningful for you, or you know, whatever it is. Maybe there was a bit of a drama on the way to hanging up the poster. These little stories will be fun to read. And yeah, basically that's it. You put it in and you get these stars, and everyone gets 3 stars to vote on their favorite, and you can put them all on one, or you could put them in different photos, and yeah, don't move somebody else's stars. That's cheating.
That is such a wonderful idea and very specific about the Venice Agreement and where do you hang that. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So just here we've written again the summary. The next days you'll receive an email from us. Then you can access this Miro board. Maybe Frankie can click one slide more. If it shows. Yeah, now you can see it. It's actually really a Miro board, and you can, with this link, just upload your photo here, and then on the 21st of January, we'll remind you. Now the voting process starts, and then you can put your stars, and yeah, exactly, for World Wetlands Day. We'll collect all the photos, and probably the winner wins the wellies, right? So
one question, is it only
yes.
one photo per person, or one person can send more than one?
Frankie's written that you can also print it as much or like as much as you like, and then put it up in several places to just higher your chances for the wellies.
Yes.
There's no limit. I mean, if you, like, realistically, if you have 10 photos, you might want to edit some of them, because editing is always good. But
absolutely,
yeah, if you think all 10 are really good, then just go for it.
Awesome. Excellent idea. I think that from the comments on the chat, everybody is really excited about this. So well done. So talking about posting things, at this moment, I think Anto or Nico are going to put on the link on the chat, the link for the WhatsApp group. If you are not in the WhatsApp group for any reason, here is a link, and of course that's a space where we get information and so on, and beautiful photographs also too. So thank you so much again for this extraordinary idea, and we're actually now going to close the meeting. And we are actually going to get some words from Barbara. Barbara la Barbara. Barbara.
Hi. Yeah.
Yes.
This has been so wonderful and beautiful closing. Thank you very much, guys, for inviting us to that challenge. I already have an idea. I wanted to thank you all for being here, for persisting, for staying, for being a part. I was thinking like peatland, if every segment is there, the peat, the vegetation, the water, the entire ecosystem, including all those magnificent organisms like birds, mammals, us, and those beautiful and invisible creatures that live in the soil thrives. Thank you all for committing. And the invitation is to think ahead in hosting the 22 gathering of the, I would expect it to be the expanded and strengthened Venice Agreement. I encourage you to take the lead and channel new and deeper support and build on the wonderful experiences we collectively have gathered together in this last year, and try to be more effective in connecting with the ones who take decisions. We discussed this with our group, who actually invest in restoring degraded peatlands, or who can invest, those who can invest in protecting these high integrity peatlands that are out there, including the ones we have down here in Patagonia, to unite these great decision makers with people like you, like me, like all of us who love peatlands and work day by day to make them flourish, to rescue them, to protect them, and to be with them, to travel with them into the next century. I am very happy, and let the Peatland Conservation Road grow and let each one of us enjoy this common trip. I know we can do it. We already demonstrated that, and I wanted to thank you again. Send you gracias and saludos from down here in Santiago. Thank you, Charo.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you to everyone. And I invite you again to open the microphones. I don't know about you guys, but this meeting make my heart like a wow. Not only because of how much has been done, but also because of this amazing group of people. Really gives hope and a lot of energy for other things that need to be done. But this is a very special group, so very grateful to be part of this journey. So let's open the microphones and say goodbye to each other.
Goodbye.
And let's win the Wellington.
Bye, everyone.
María, qué bueno verte. Chao, chao. Pronto. Rosy.
Me voy a tomar una foto al tiro con el Venice
Oye,
Agreement.
Bárbara.
No tomamos foto.
Hermana.
Yo tomé foto. Yo les mando.
Ay, qué bueno. Un beso, las quiero muchísimo.
Ay, gracias,
Oye.
Charo.
Cami, quédate un segundo. Mira, tengo un habitante acá. Mila,
Ay.
saluda a la Cami. La Bárbara y la
Está
Nico.
enferma.
Yo me hacen feliz ustedes, oye. Chao.
Chao.
Chao, preciosas. I want to win the Wellington boots.
Pero los Wellies. Gracias, Charo.